Welcome in to 11 Personnel, presented by Monticello Bank. I'm Nick Roush, joined by Adam Luckett, where we are 100 days away from the start of the 2025 Kentucky football season. Usually that means you got some downtime, but we got a jam-packed show today for the people, Mr. Luckett. I'm fired up for this one.
Yeah, it's a great time to be alive. May. You know, it's nice to have some stuff happening in May. Once I know you get into horse depression, so it's nice to have some fodder here. We've got SEC spring meetings next week.
Yep.
I think we now know what they're going to talk about, really. They're for 3 days.
Yep.
They're in Destin. So, yeah, and then recruiting really starts to pick up, as always, in June. Then you got the July talking season. So, we've kind of got a calendar. We've kind of got it formatted out, and we're 100 days away from kickoff in Kroger Field.
There's going to be stuff.
I know all of you all listening are thrilled about that. I didn't have any negative comments today about it being 100 days away from kickoff on social media.
Zero negative comments whatsoever. All positive. Maybe not all positive on our discussion board today. I will say we did have some late breaking news as the show started. They've officially gotten rid of the old seeding in the college football playoff. They're just going 1 through 12. So a little bit of news trickling out here, there, and everywhere. But we gotta get into the nitty-gritty of the fun stuff. And so, like, I'm gonna pass the rock to you. Which would you rather discuss first? Are we gonna do the rebuild talk, or are we going to do coaching carousel talk?
So do I need to step back and shoot it like Tyrese Halliburton and fire off my best hot take?
Oh, yeah. Fire away, brother. Fire away. Then do a little choke afterwards.
I don't have a hot take, but we can start with just kind of this exercise I did today at KSR Plus, which check it out if you haven't already.
It's really well done and also kind of depressing. But UK1 is the promo code to get on at KSR Plus to get 2 months for $1. So go over there, try out KSR Plus today. But look at you. If history teaches us nothing, then we will learn nothing. But history can be instructive, and that's what you did with this exercise on the Kentucky football rebuild.
Yeah, really my thought of this was Mark Stoops enters his post-Louisville game press conference. And one of the first thing he says after, like, just saying, that game sucked.
We got our ass kicked.
Was basically like, I came in here and I had a game on TV and I watched a team just won 9 games that didn't make a bowl game the year before. And he was talking about South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay. And then I think a lot of people, like the Indiana thing, people saw what happened in Indiana last year. So it's like, okay, like who has had a bad season, like 4-8 or worse in this small window era, which is after the COVID season, when NIL and the transfer portal really started in 2021.
Yeah.
So this is only 4 years of data essentially, but we've seen a decent amount of power conference teams go 4-8 or worse, and then the next year get to a bowl game. Obviously, the biggest ones are like Indiana, we mentioned, Kalen DeBoer at Washington, Mike Elko at Duke, Lincoln Riley when he had Caleb Williams won the Heisman Trophy. But all those are different than Kentucky. New coach, new quarterback. Okay. Yeah. And then we've got, of course, there's like the second year bump, right? Typically, you hear the saying in football all the time, you get best after your week 1 and between week 2. Most improvement in a coaching tenure is between year 1 and year 2.
Same thing with horse racing. Oh, second start off the layoff should improve from his first. I mean, it's in every sport.
So of course there's some samples of that here. Deion Sanders, Kenny Dillingham's the big one. They go 3-8 his first year, then make the playoff, win the Big 12 his second year. Lance Leipold has a year 0 at Kansas, then gets them back in a bowl game in his second year. So, of course, there's that. And then you've got the one that Kentucky has tried to play a couple times before the 1 year blip.
But 5 times.
They've never played successfully, which is basically like just turn over the offensive coordinator. Get the offensive coordinator bump.
Get a play caller who's going to open this thing up. You
Right,
get a
and
new
we see that,
quarterback. Yeah.
and last year in the SEC that worked well for some teams. You look at Vanderbilt and Arkansas, and then there's a few other teams mentioned in there. But then finally I get to what I was really looking for.
Yes.
Who has done what Kentucky is doing? Like, who has tried to basically just do it with continuity? And then, I didn't put a ton of volume on transfers here, Nick, because I was just like, everyone's using transfers. What's the right volume? What's not? Just trying to find some of the same themes from a mini rebuild. And there's really two big ones. There was three I found that I would consider continuity plays. One was Northwestern, but that one was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Pat Fitzgerald gets fired in July.
They got to promote somebody who's on the staff, but he
well,
hadn't been
and
there
that guy
long.
had just come over from North Dakota State. It was kind of weird. They got hot at the end of the year. It was a classic Northwestern season. Just won a bunch of close games. You look up and they're 8-5, and you're like, how the hell did that team go 8-5? A Big Tim West special, some would call it.
Yeah.
And then the other two were, I think, two programs that kind of have stuff in common with Kentucky. It was Rutgers and Greg Schiano. It was Matt Campbell and Iowa State.
You just don't like being compared to Rutgers football. We got to call a spade a spade.
Greg Schiano's the best coach, all-time winningest coach in Rutgers history, right?
Yep.
Mark Stoops is the all-time winningest coach in Kentucky history. Matt Campbell, obviously, him and Stoops have kind of been on the same plane at the same time of kind of overachieving at their programs. They both had some disappointing years. Now, Campbell, they were up. They had a bowl streak, fell down to 4-8, and then bounced back. So that one's probably the most comparable, whereas Schiano, it was the beginning of his tenure. So basically, both those teams went 4-8. Rutgers in 2022. Iowa State in 2022 as well. Both went 4-8. They both bounced back to go 7-6. Now, for Rutgers, they went 7-5 the next year. So they're on like a good little trajectory. And Iowa State, they turned that 7-6, reset their culture, and then they bumped up to 11 wins this past year, made it back to the Big 12 championship game. They're going to be a playoff dark horse this year. But you kind of look at what happened during those seasons.
Yeah.
Iowa State, really, they benefited from the Big 12 just being
awful.
The lunatic fringe, really. Or just teams winning close games. Like that Iowa State team wasn't that good. They lost to Ohio early in the year.
Yeah.
If Kentucky loses to a MAC team early in the year, like
done.
Things are going to be awful. In Rutgers, they won just playing ugly Big Ten football, but they had an NFL tailback, and I don't know if that's what Kentucky has this year.
That's the biggest thing, just in generally speaking, is the talent. That Iowa State had 2 wide receivers drafted. Rocco Betcht, who was the guy who came in and started that year for them, is probably going to be a draft
quarterback in college football this year. Rocco Betcht, yeah,
right, exactly. I don't. Even if Zach Calzada hits, he's not Rocco Betcht, right? Same thing with. You mentioned the Rutgers tailback, but the bigger thing for me, like, for this to work, the offensive coordinator has to work, because that's what happened with Rutgers, right? Is that it was Kirk Jaraka's second year at Rutgers. This is Bush Hamden's second year with Kentucky. But I would believe in that guy a little bit more because of the decades-long experience, whereas Bush Hamden's got, a 2 or 3 year sample size of calling plays at the power conference level. So
plus the year at Boise State, which is, to me, is
basically power conference. Yeah. So I think in my mind, yes, it was Rutgers playing in the that was still Big Ten. They weren't Big Ten West, were they? But they might as well have been.
They were in the East.
Yeah.
So they were in the tough part of the Big Ten, yeah.
Right. I would think if Kentucky's going to do it, it would have to look more like the Rutgers one. And for it to hit, it's got to hit because of the offensive coordinator figures it out. The team figures it out. And that kind of, I don't – if we played a game where we laid out scenarios of, I'll give you 4, pick one, and this will be the most likely to guarantee success. Whether it's You got one of those running backs turns into a bell cow, one of those receivers becomes a badass, or just Bush Hamden is good. Like, it feels like Bush Hamden being good is the entire start and stop of the season. I know he won't get all of the heat; he'll get some of it, but it just feels like this is all on Bush Hamden, and it could be doable. Could be doable. Maybe not 7-6, but it could be doable if he is in fact a good play caller.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's just, it's easy. It's easy to just say, especially with Kentucky's situation. It's easy to just say it's on the play caller. It's on the offense coordinator. Yeah. It's a little bit more. I think it's a little more complicated than that. But I'm going to get to that in a second. Really, my bigger takeaway of all for this exercise, and read the column, I've got more into it, and you get more data. And my bigger emphasis point is, I think the one thing you would be looking for is like, can they really blow our minds and just go 9-3? Like, can they because you're seeing that every year. Teams do that, come from nowhere, and then have these big seasons. I don't think that's. Like, I didn't think that was possible before, and then doing this exercise make me think it's less possible. Like, I really do think like the best case or the ceiling might be 7-5.
That might even be too high because the new SP Plus rankings came out, and Kentucky has 8 opponents in the top 25.
Yeah, so
75% of your schedule. That's hard to do.
So I pivot from that, and this kind of. Now, I will say this was confirmation bias for me because this is what I thought this year was. As soon as they decided to gut the roster, really, and say they wanted to reboot. Like, I really come back to him saying reboot and reset the culture, reboot the roster. This is really it is a foundation year. It is, to me, it's almost similar to having a first-year head coach. They have to reset everything, and it's a foundation. They're trying to lay a foundation in year 13, right, for Mark Stoops. And not only that, for these staff members, I mean, a lot of these staff members have been here a while. Can you do that? Can you do that? And is it possible in the year of our Lord, 2025, in college football with a 13th year head coach? Can you do that? That's what we're going to find out. And to your point on the coaching, my overall point, I think it's going to be very easy to just kind of like Bush Hamden is going to be front and center on this. He's going to be kind of the face of this, but it's more than just him. They have to win not only this year, but as a program moving forward, they have to win in the margins, right? They have to win in situational football. They have to win in, staying healthy, avoiding the injury bug. They have to win with evaluation, finding fit, need, all of this kind of stuff. I feel like they had their biggest, to me, where they've slipped probably the most is that. Where in 2021, I think they had all of that. And it feels like ever since then, they're just not winning the margins like they need to be.
No,
with all those things I just mentioned combined.
That was the foundation of success early on, was just winning within the margins. And especially when you look at the talent on this year's team. And they're not out talenting a whole lot of teams.
So they have to get – and I've talked about this 100 times, it feels like. That South Carolina-Illinois game, the bowl game I watched, where, I got a great chuckle around the holidays with Bielema and Beamer. But that's what Kentucky used to look like.
Yeah.
And they haven't looked like that in a while, both those teams. Neither of those teams were – like blow your socks off talent-wise. Offensively, both those teams were kind of like it wasn't the prettiest to watch them teams all year.
Oh, they scrambled for points, but they'd find them in weird ways.
But they would find them, and they would just those teams scratched and claw and they fought for every inch. And I think if you watch those teams throughout the year, that kept showing up week after week after week. That Kentucky needs to get back to being like that, and part of that is I think kind of winning in the margins. And really the coaching and just pulling them through in certain situations. We're going to point to Bush Hamden, obviously, but they just got to be better. I think last year, Nick, you felt like offensively they did. It just felt we're doing this, we're doing that. I called it herky jerky throughout the year, whether it was how you were dealing with the quarterback situation. The South Carolina game, it felt like they kind of panicked. They need to have. You just feel like they need to have a better plan moving forward. Now, with that, all that said, they got their own roster now, but they've got to go out and do it. And these kind of data we pulled tells us that, best case scenario might just be, you find a way to sneak into the Birmingham Bowl.
Yeah. Which I would love to be drinking beers in Birmingham around Christmas time. Sounds glorious. I actually was just planning a trip to Birmingham this afternoon. So great folks down in the Beham, the Steel City, one of the Steel Cities, or the Iron City. They do something down there. There's a giant boiler. So I don't know if it's steel or iron or whatever the hell it was.
Well, the minor league football team was named the Iron. So
yeah, the Irons or something. Okay, so
no, Birmingham Iron. Yeah,
the Smelters.
Shout out Trent Richardson.
Yeah, shout out Trent Richardson. But the other part of that too, Luckett, I think that the part that I struggle the most with in this is that those teams, those programs that did the bounce back with continuity, well, they did it with a pretty clear identity of who they are and what they wanted to be. Kentucky got away from it. I think Stoops knows what he wants to be, but can they actually get back to that?
That's why I say it almost weirdly, it feels like it's the first year of a coaching tenure. But you have none of the patience
Zero.
that those when you begin a first year of a coaching tenure that you get.
Yeah.
Like none.
Well, you know what? We should go talk about some first year coaches, some first year coaching tenure. It's always one of our favorite shows is when we spend a lot of time digging through the coaching carousel. And this year's it's a little weird, thanks to some weird late moves. But as always, we are proud to have our friends at Monticello Bank partnering with 11 Personnel. You can bet your sweet buns that they are bringing you 11 Personnel podcasts for years and years to come, just like they've been delivering great rates for the Commonwealth of Kentucky for years and years and years. They've been in business for more than 125. They've got convenient branches all over the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and they're easy to reach online at nbcbank.com. 20 locations, 14 counties. Wow, that's everywhere. Right now, too, just go ahead and check out their HELOC special. Use the equity you've built up in your home to finance projects around the house. They'll get the best rate to make sure that you're hooked up for all of your home projects. So what are you waiting for? Bank local, bank smarter with Monticello Bank. It's where people matter. Member FDIC, equal housing lender, Monticello Bank, proud presenting sponsors of 11 Personnel. And, man, love me some NBC Bank. Got the little Monticello Bank hat right there. I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to talk coaching carousel, even though it does feel so much later and there's a portal and all sorts of stuff. I mean, Frank Reich, for crying out loud, became the Stanford interim head football coach like a couple weeks ago.
And there's pictures on the internet. Andrew Luck and video. Andrew Luck is he's pretty much coaching. He's out on the practice field. He's wearing the bucket hats. That's an interesting
experiment.
Yeah. Going out there right now.
Who's the acting? He's basically president of football operations. He fired the old coach.
Yeah, he's like the executive VP of the football department at Stanford University.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But actual hires, you made it clear in your KSR Plus article that, and we discussed this when it was still fresh, but there weren't as many power conference moves because of the pending changes with the House settlement, which I guess we'll have to get to that later. It wasn't as active, but when you go through the list, it's still pretty lengthy. And so I wanted to get to our favorite hires, and then we can touch on some of the weirdest hires. I've got a list of 3 on my favorite hires. Maybe we can do reverse order here.
Yeah, you just do yours, and then if there's some we haven't touched on, I can pull them out.
Hire number 3, Phil Longo to Sam Houston State. That just
feels right. Yeah.
Yeah. That guy has been pretty much successful everywhere except for trying to do the air raid at Wisconsin. Can't believe that didn't work out. And same Houston, that's a fine-tuned machine. Their coach was there for like 20 some odd years.
Yeah,
right?
Keeler's great. I don't know if you mentioned him. He went to Temple. Like, that's one I'm higher on.
Yeah.
He was great. But Longo called plays there under Keeler at one point. Like, he knows Sam Houston State. CUSA is not very good. So if you have your stuff together, you should be able to win pretty quickly.
Which they have still been winning, even despite transferring or transitioning from FCS to FBS. So I like that one. That feels very natural, and especially his history there. It's a no-brainer. This one it's actually probably the one hire that I would gamble on the most to be a hit. But it's not my favorite for a reason you'll see in a moment, Mr. Luckett. Zach Kittley from Texas Tech. We know him from his time at Western Kentucky, but he was prior to that, he was at, I don't know what they call that school now, Houston Baptist, Houston Christian.
I believe it's Houston Christian, yeah.
Okay. But he was there, and they imported the offense at Western Kentucky, crushed it. He's a young guy. Is he even 30? I mean, he's younger than us.
I think he's your age. I think he's your age.
Okay. But he's making the move to Florida Atlantic.
Houston Baptist was the school.
Okay. So. All right. Yeah. You get it's hard to keep up. But it's a different story. But we've seen Florida Atlantic be a fun football team when they've got a good play caller in there. And Zach Kittley is a good play caller. I believe he got a pretty good quarterback to go with him, if I'm not mistaken, too. So, like, that thing, they're in Conference USA. They can get that thing humming in no time. Get Boca popping. That's a fun. The NFL game sucks on Thursday night, and so you're locked in watching Florida Atlantic drop 50 on Liberty. Like that. They're going to be a fun team to watch with Zach Kittley there in Boca.
Caden Velkamp, WKU quarterback. FA.
Which Velkamp would have been a freshman, I guess, when Kittley was. Yeah,
he was around that time. Yeah, and then one of their best.
He was recruited in. His dad worked on the staff with Kittley.
And one of their best receivers, Easton Messer, WKU, went to FAU. Yeah, like, to me, Nick, they did the retread thing. Worked with Kiffin. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, Willie Taggart and Tom Herman bombed pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
FAU was interesting because there was kind of a theme in here, like specifically in the AAC, American Athletic Conference. These teams are just not waiting around. Like, they're pulling the plug fast. Like, Tulsa pulled it off Kevin Wilson after 2 years. FAU pulled it after 2 years with Herman. Charlotte pulled it after 2 years with Biff. It was 2.
We got 2 with Biff. Okay.
But all those teams were at the bottom of the AAC. So all of these, they were flipping it over pretty fast. And Kittley, it just makes sense. That spread offense in South Florida.
Yeah.
Like, you could see that working. So, yeah, that one makes sense.
But it's not my favorite hire. And to some extent, it's one of my least favorite hires because we're no longer getting him in those Thursday night football games. And that's our boy, Dan Mullen, going out to coach the Running Rebs at UNLV, where there's a good chance that this bombs out because he has been out of the game for 3 years now. It was a decent little break in between his time at Florida, but Barry Odom had that thing rocking and rolling. I feel like the Mountain West, that's the hard part too, is trying to gauge who's in what conference now with the whole Pac-12 Mountain West fighting over who's in what conference and what league. But Barry Odom is handing him keys to a pretty good car, and I think Dan Mullen is a smart enough play caller to not wreck it. I'm also just fascinated by Mullen in Vegas. Like, I think we could get some really silly shenanigans out of it. We always put Mullen on our offense coordinator hot boards here, and I don't know if he was necessarily even under consideration, but I insisted on it just for the annex. And Dan Mullen's annex in Vegas. I mean, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It may not be. Getting to Mountain West title games like Odom did the last couple of years. But I cannot wait to see, because whatever it is, it's going to be very entertaining with Dan Mullen at UNLV.
Yeah, I think for Mullen, you look at it like Barry Odom, guy you competed against just was 50-50, 500 coach at Missouri. He went there and just absolutely crushed it at UNLV. Yeah. So you go there, it's going to be a transfer-heavy team, but he got Anthony Colandrea, the Virginia quarterback, who I kind of liked. I'm interested to see how he fits, and you could just see it working. The big thing I think to watch out for with UNLV is they have a massive like financial deficit, and like they don't know how they're going to pay Mullen after like 2 years. Like that's been reported out there. They say they kind of have a plan, but like I think some stuff has to go really right, or that could be an absolute disaster here in a few seasons.
Well, you can just get your investment funding.
Get the PIF involved. Yeah.
It'd be the or just get the mafia. The mafia run the mob. They run Vegas. Just bring them down, right?
Yeah, I'm sure you can you find a UNLV football presented to you by MGM Grand.
Exactly. But I did want to use this opportunity to talk about Purdue and get your thoughts, because obviously, I'm impartial to this take, but we've seen Purdue be good twice in our lifetimes, and it was with offensive coaches. So hiring another defensive coach feels like a dumbass idea. However, I was very against firing Barry Odom at the time at Missouri, and it's not just because Kentucky was good at beating him and they've struggled with Drinkwitz, but like Missouri was a 6-7 win team throughout his tenure there. He's an alma mater guy that was seemingly had things moving in the right direction. I think he's a good ball coach and can get Purdue. Like Ryan Walters was just in over his head on day one.
Yeah.
But my question for you, Luckett, and you noted this, he's good at hiring offensive coordinators. I'm fascinated by this offensive coordinator because Josh Henson is a former offensive line coach, and similar to Eddie Grand, you don't see that in this sport. You don't see offensive line coaches turn into play callers. Maybe a head coach like Key or Pittman, but not a play caller.
Do you know who the quarterback coach is?
Is it Darren Henshaw?
Darren Henshaw is the quarterback coach at Purdue.
Yeah.
I like the hire a lot better until I saw what he did at offensive coordinator. I mean, Henson's just the first time. He's with Lincoln Riley, so maybe there's something there. But that was I don't know about that kind of move to me, based off what he's done in the past, which is like, Brennan Marion. He had Bobby Petrino for a second. He had Josh Heupel. So that'll be interesting there because you're right. I think Purdue, when they're at their best, they're one of the best offensive teams in that league. So that should be, to me, like when you've looked at Purdue's track record, when they're winning games, they have one of the best offenses in the conference. So that should be like, to me, a guiding light. Yeah. Right. That should be a guiding light. That should almost be your North Star in a coaching search. Let's hire a guy that can do this. In these last two hires, it's like, what are you doing?
Right. Why are you? The recipe is pretty clear at this point, and I know.
But I get why Odom, because he maybe allows you to double dip because of his OC hiring track record.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that one was, it's kind of interesting because of all that.
Three weird, really just pops off the page. For me, the weirdest hires. Charles Huff leaving Marshall after a successful year. They won. Did they win their division?
They won the Sun Belt.
They won the whole entire Sun Belt. He leaves to go coach the worst team in the Sun Belt. And
yes,
I can't.
It was a pissing contest. I mean, there was a pissing contest, and that, when you hear. If you know you want to fire a coach, you need to just fire him. Like, this is a very good example because it's like, because then you have to just explain to everybody why you are. It becomes like a national kind of story. Like, why is Marshall not bringing back the coach that won the conference last year? It was pretty much a pissing contest. They just didn't want to work together anymore. Both sides, I think. And so both sides were just kind of playing out a contract the whole time. And
it played out well.
and he just messed around and won the league.
But then for him there wasn't a better situation than Southern Miss. I mean, because my big thing with Southern Miss is just they have like years of stuff that they have to overcome. Because I know they have the history there and they have the support, which almost makes it even harder because the expectations are higher there. But
yes.
the coaching stuff, because they had a guy. I mean, didn't he quit like halfway through the year? Or what was the?
You talking about Ellis Johnson, like a decade ago?
I thought they were the team that had a coach who said he was coming back and he quit or something like that.
Jay Hobson got fired weirdly week 1. Scotty Walden, who's now the head coach at UTEP, actually was like a 30-year-old offensive coordinator or something. And then he got the Austin Peay job in the middle of the season, and he quit then to go start the Austin Peay job.
It's so weird. And then, but I guess if you're Huff, you do think, well, at least here, if you're talking about schools in the Sun Belt where they have probably the resources and fan support, it would be top 3 behind maybe like App State and Troy. Like I
put them James Madison. They're behind James Madison.
Oh, okay, yeah, James Madison too. But yeah, because that's a huge state school. But Southern Miss, if you can get that lightning to strike at the right spot, then that thing can really get rolling. So Huff, quite a big gamble.
You're right on the kind of tradition, the expectations, and the fan base of Southern Miss, but I kind of lump them in with Mississippi State in a weird way. One of their big advantages throughout their history was kind of having JUCOs in their back pocket. Mm-hmm. Well, now everyone has JUCOs because everyone just uses the portal.
It's true.
So I don't think that's as bountiful as it's been for them in the past. And so projecting moving forward, and it's kind of a hard job. They're the third school in Mississippi. Essentially, it's just there's some difficulties that come, I think, with that gig. I think for Huff, you ask, well, why would he just go there? I think, he had a good Marshall tenure, but it wasn't great. The year he did win the league, it was kind of a down year for the conference. Like App State was bad.
Yeah.
Troy was bad.
Mm-hmm.
James Madison took a step back without Signetti. So it was kind of this weird kind of year, I think, in the Sun Belt where they lost all this kind of coaching star power. And some of the best teams in the league kind of took a step back. Because you look to last year, I mean, they lost Summerall, they lost Signetti, they lost Kane Womack, who went to be Alabama's defensive coordinator. They just the league was just kind of in a weird spot. And so I think he just had to go. So he just had to find a landing spot, reset his clock somewhere. But yeah, that was more interesting to me. Southern Miss is probably one of the big winners in this carousel because they got a guy that's a legitimate good coach in the league.
There's 2 other weird. We got to talk about the NFL guys, but I did just. Can the nostalgia button work for West Virginia and Rich Rod? Because in that time and place, Steve Slayton, Pat White, Owen Schmidt, I mean, they were rock stars. And it was at the time, too, when that offense, I mean, he was an innovator, It was right around when Chip Kelly's doing the tempo stuff. They haven't adjusted the subbing rules yet, so you could really get teams on your heels. And you could do the mesh stuff. You just mesh teams to death. I know he was pretty good at Jacksonville State, but West Virginia is in such a weird spot with the Big 12 and how crazy that league can be. And now they're scheduling all of these, like the Backyard Brawl is back on, and I think they're playing Marshall too. Like they've put their regional rivals back on their schedule. So I think
they're throwing the fans a bone because of all what they have to do in conference, which is pretty much playing Texas 4 times a year.
And so I think they have like 11 power conference games on their schedule, maybe. So it's much more difficult than winning in that old Big East where they had 3 good teams and that was it. That conference stunk back then. So is the nostalgia button going to work, or like more likely to be Greg Schiano or complete flame out?
Okay. There was 2 vibes hires in this, and this was one of them. It was like, let's get the vibes back. And this was one of them. I would say, like, honestly think this one will end up being fine for everyone as long as he doesn't stay too long. Because some of these hires, like Petrino, just kind of stayed too long at Louisville. Mac Brown stayed too long in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Schiano one is working for Rutgers, and he just needs to time it right when he kind of steps away.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these, I think they work on some level. I don't think they ever get back to the peak of their powers that they had it.
Mm-hmm.
But they can work and it's a good, to me, it's a good palate cleanser, I think, for the fan base. And it's a good way to establish your new standard in your new neighborhood. Like, okay, this is a way for us to find out where we really stand. Because before it's like, it's always the coach's fault. The coach doesn't fit. Well, this guy's one of us, right?
Yeah,
this guy is West Virginia. If this guy will tell us like what really is kind of our ceiling here in this new league. And these hires have a way, Nick, I think, of getting everybody pulling on the rope at the same time, which is kind of what I think West Virginia needs. So I think it's a good kind of way to for them to establish the standard. And I think it's a lot better, and makes a lot more sense than the other kind of nostalgia vibes hire made in this cycle in the same conference.
Before we get to that, I did just want to say, I agree with you. They could probably have a 8 or 9 win season, but it wouldn't shock me if by the time this thing wraps up, we look back and say, was Rich Rod any better than Neil Brown? Probably not. It's probably not. Probably produce similar results.
But he speaks their language.
Yeah.
And that matters, especially in this college football. It probably matters more than any other sport.
And to your point, too, the timing of everything, like you just need a new coach after 5 or 6 years if you're not. They've been ready to get rid of him for a while.
Things were stale. Neil didn't get a fair shake there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But things were just stale. And that's not all. It wasn't all his fault, and it wasn't all West Virginia's fault, but they just each side just needed a new partner.
Where did he get his new job? He's
an analyst at Texas. He went there with Chad Scott. Yeah, he was the running backs coach there.
The other nostalgia hire in the Big 12. I can't even think of it right now.
Scott Frost.
Oh, yeah. People forget that UCF is in the Big 12.
Like, what are you doing? Like why? It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, they hired Gus, so, you know.
Like, the only one that didn't, like, the Mac Brown one was the one that made the less, like, if I'm tiering, like, these vibes hires is what I'm calling them, that one and Mac were kind of in the same bucket. It was just like, why? I think if you look through that Mac North Carolina prism, it was pretty much to get everyone kind of in the same boat, which is not that much different than Rich Rod, except I think Rich Rod is much more an accomplished coach, and the same with Mac Brown as Frost. Like, Frost, like, are we sure he just didn't have lightning in the bottle one year at UCF?
No, yeah, because that's look at his coaching record page on College Football Reference. It's
Wikipedia. Yeah.
It's kind of amusing, actually, because you realize, oh wow, they did just go undefeated that one year, and that's it. I think he had a losing record in every other season as a head coach in his entire career.
Yeah, and for UCF, I still think, like, in that new Big 12, there's no reason why they can't aspire to be the best job in that, or the best program in that conference. Like, you're in Florida, man. It's very much attainable, and they have a huge alumni base. Like, to me, it's very attainable. They're a very attractive, I think, transfer portal destination. Think of all those players in Florida that you are going to be in a pool for that enter the portal. So I don't know why you would just, their last 2 hires were just kind of head scratchers.
Yeah.
Like, why? It feels like you could get an ascending coach, and when it worked for you, that's where you hired. You hired Frost, you hired Heupel, you hired ascending coaches. Where this kind of retread route is, I don't know. Like the Malzahn thing obviously didn't work, and then you're going to Frost, which I think will get people excited because everyone remembers. how fun that 1 year was. But, Frost is a rare coach because he got to do the vibes thing twice. He got to do it at Nebraska, and now he's getting to do it at UCF. No one gets to do it twice. He's getting to do it twice.
Pretty impressive by Scott Frost. Can't wait to see them lose one-score games down in the Space City, as they like to call themselves, which Bill Belichick, that thing going to work out?
The thing I keep coming back to, and there's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of reasons to believe that he'll probably be done in a year or two.
Yeah.
But we know he's a good football coach.
Right.
I mean, that's been proven. Mm-hmm. And he's put up a good staff together when you kind of look at it. Like his son had a good year as a defensive coordinator at Washington last year. Mm-hmm. They're playing in the ACC.
You can win there.
And they're at North Carolina. That's one of the better jobs in the ACC. Like just by him being a certain level of football coach, him having a certain level of staff, and him being in that league, I think like he's not going into a Shark Tank. I think he's going to win some games. Like I don't think they're probably going to be great, but I do think like if we look up and they're playing in, they're 8-4 and in the Duke's Mayo Bowl, like they had a fine season. Mm-hmm. Like that's definitely in the cards. So what do you like? To me, they've already accomplished what they were kind of trying to do with this, which is to drum up interest. They sold out season tickets.
They're drumming up interest, all right.
Yeah, they're going to be on national TV, and he stays here a couple years, and then you can go hire a new coach. I mean, that they're doing what they kind of, to me, that like they're accomplishing what they set out to accomplish.
Just in a different way.
They want to say like they're trying to win a national title. Yes, in a different way. Yes, but that's not the real goal of this. The goal of this is to kind of get some energy and get some buzz, and then use it as a launching point for you in going into the future. And maybe Jordan Hudson she can jump off that trampoline with you and be your GM.
Well, that brings me to our next segment, which I've been cooking up. College football feuds are so back. We are so back. And I don't know which one of these is your favorite, Mr. Luckett. We've got Jordan Hudson versus the media and everybody who's trying to take her down because love is love. Love is beautiful. Why would you want to
maybe don't hurt me
with her and Bill Belichick? Mel Kiper versus Mario Cristobal, or Matt Rule versus Ari Wasserman. Which one of these college football feuds is your favorite, Mr. Luckett?
I'm right. I mean, Mel is my guy, so like I just absolutely love that. Like because it was very much random stray that Cristobal threw at him.
Yeah,
and Mel was eating stuff for that kind of his defense of Shadur throughout the whole thing, and he was like, "F this! Like I'm about to go into hiding for 3, 4, 5 months. I'm going out swinging." So that one was my. I enjoyed that one probably the most.
And it was all because Mario Cristobal said that Mel didn't spend enough time with talking about Cam Ward, or he didn't
talk to him about Cam Ward.
Why does he need to talk to Mario Cristobal about Cam Ward?
It was just a weird, I don't know what Cristobal's angle was on this. And Mel had just had this, he had a weird Shadur Sanders angle. Let's just call it what it was. Why does it even matter? Like, what does this even matter? Like, I don't. From both sides, it mattered none.
Exactly.
But they still decided to trade barbs.
Getting a pissing match
media.
over it. That was very funny. I was very amused at the Nebraska fans who were coming after Ari Wasserman yesterday, though. One called him Andy's ball fondler, which I have one of those where I had to laugh out loud, like an actual looking at my phone, giggling. But the funniest part about that one, Luckett, is that it was from an interview that was more than a week ago, but nobody had really blown up the quote. So suck it, Matt Rule. Hilarious that it became a day on the internet of Nebraska fans just going after Ari. But it does pale in comparison to the the best feud, the best story of the summer. I could not get enough Jordan Hudson, Bill Belichick stories. Did you see the latest one, Luckett? Where she got a fight at a Christmas party with Bill Belichick's ex?
I did see that. Like the lady he was with for like 20 years. Like
Yes.
not his first wife, but like I don't know if they were ever married, but it was like
Long-time partner. Yeah.
right.
And her daughters were DJing a Christmas party. And this is in Nantucket, where I'm sure it's all highfalutin, social circles. And Jordan Hudson showed up, and she was in the middle of the dance floor when Belichick's ex stormed in and caused a big scene and asked her to leave. Every week there's a new Jordan Hudson story, and it's better than any sort of list or rankings. I need new Jordan Hudson every single week this offseason, man. It is delightfully entertaining.
Yeah, this been and we've got like are they getting married or are they engaged? Are they not engaged? What's going on here?
I just need more of it. Just give me more.
Yeah, that's I'm just like there's no way it could, or maybe it does continue. Does she what is she going to be on the sideline?
She doesn't. She's not going away. And here's the other part too. If she probably gets more cutaways on camera this year than Taylor Swift, because at least Taylor Swift had Patrick Mahomes on the field. I can't name one North Carolina football player like it. So you better believe those ESPN cameras are going to be panning over to Jordan Hudson and getting some reaction shots throughout the games.
And they're the Labor Day night game this year.
Oh,
TCU.
Yeah. We need love to last that long to really get as much out of this story
I think
as we can.
After that, they kind of fade away. The season starts, and North Carolina football, even with Belichick, it's going to be a big story, but it's not going to get national attention like a lot of other things. But that window could definitely be because that's one of the most watched games of the year. I feel like every year is that merely the Labor Day Sunday game. Monday maybe not as much, but still a pretty big window. But yeah, that's only college football. Of course, and it's also been you're getting you get the college football internet involved in it.
Oh yeah,
but you're also getting overlap from
NFL, and then gossip,
and then,
celebrity stuff,
gossip, right? Yeah. Pop culture types.
It's got something for everyone. Luckett.
Yeah,
that's why it's great.
Everyone's
so great.
These three kind of unique portions of the internet are all meeting at this feeding trough and are just exchanging pleasantries. It's been kind of interesting to watch develop.
Oh man, I love it. I can't get enough of it. You know what I can't get enough of too is the swag from Roback. Roback has the best gear for the summer, whether you need shorts, polos, t-shirts, activewear for guys and gals, whatever it may be. Roback's got you covered, and when you make your first purchase at roback.com, put in promo code KSR, and you're going to get 20% off your first purchase at roback.com. That's RHOBACK.com. Roback. Most comfortable gear, best polos. They're my favorite polos. Instantly, I got a lot of golf shirts like it. That's the kind of, it's the uniform. Work, summer, whatever it may be. Instantly skied up to the top of my power rankings when I got a couple of Roback polos in my collection. So think I might be hitting the golf course for the first time of the year next week. You better believe I'll be rocking that Roback. Make sure you've got the Roback too. Use promo code KSR for 20% off at checkout. Mr. Luckett.
Yes, sir.
I had two more things I wanted to mention. One, I'm just so over the House settlement and all that bull crap, and the College Sports Commission and the Tennessee making state laws, and just I hate it. I hate it so much. Can we just get to the damn finish line, please?
Well, we're going to get to it, but then there's going to be unintended consequences, and so it's going to be how we handle all that. But until they make them employees, Nick, this is just going to be a thing. Until we finally
it's so stupid.
Until they finally take the medicine and do it, that's just going to be a thing. Now, I will say, I'm no Larry lawyer. But part of me thinks back up. The College Sports Commission is taking over NCAA for punishing. Yeah. NCAA is not going to punish outside of ruling players eligible for like academic stuff, some of that. But like,
the clearinghouse is only existing for the academic things.
Are you following the rev share rules? College Sports Commission is going to be in charge of doing that. They're going to have like an arbitration process. They're hiring someone, and they're going to pay them $1 million a year to be the CEO and the face of that, and go on podcasting, do interviews, and yada yada yada, and kind of discuss everything. Now, part of what's going with that is Tennessee basically filed this bill pretty much saying we don't have to listen to your rules.
Yes.
Our schools.
Meanwhile, the power conference schools are like, we are giving you these rules and you need to sign this and you cannot sue us, which is a whole separate thing.
So they've been, but blowback to this, there's been like Joe Castiglione, the 8 athletic director at Oklahoma, and some other people are pretty much like, guys, everyone's got to at least try this. We cannot keep like going out trying to find like our little,
loopholes.
Our little get out of jail free card here. Mm-hmm. We got to try to make this work. So if they could convince, which I'm not sure that they will, if they can convince these members to sign this, I could see that possibly working. It's like the first thing that I was like, well, that might work if they can get them to do it. Now, will they? We'll see. And basically, they pretty much were like, you sign this membership agreement contract, you are committing to following these rules. The only issue with that is that the players that are going to be participating, involved in these rules, are not involved in that, right, at all.
And by waiving your right to sue, you're also, that's pretty clear. Like you said, I'm not Larry Lawyer. Sounds like an antitrust issue. And that's why it just pisses me off, Luckett, because the easiest solution was always the solution they didn't want to do, and it's just collectively bargain, make them employees. Like, what are we doing here? So again, some of these when you see the Ross Dellinger story on your phone and you tap in and you're like, my God, what are you idiots doing? Because it's going to be a seemingly never-ending cycle of lawsuits if they don't get this House settlement codified and make it law and move on.
Which is they're needing. They're working with Ted Cruz in the Senate, try to get some protection for it.
Mm-hmm.
So we are far from over, but it's expected to pass soon. And basically, in the short term, schools like Kentucky will have $20.5 million that they can disperse to athletes. There will be an NIL clearinghouse. Anything over $600 will have to be approved via NIL deal to try to stop collectives. And this College Sports Commission will, if you break the rules, they will be the one doling out punishments. And that's really what you kind of need to know here in the short term. But again, things will, it's fluid. So I think things could change pretty fast.
Just like a fluid, it runs downhill. I've got a fun game for us to end the show, but we do need to get serious for a moment and send our heartfelt thoughts and prayers to all the folks who had their lives forever changed down in London and southeast Kentucky with the tornado that hit this weekend. And if you want to help make some real tangible change, Jagger Burton and Trent Noah, they organize a drive that it's happening right now outside at Kroger Field, or this evening from 4 to 8. You can drop off supplies. They've asked for shovels, garbage bags, totes, various items, cleaning supplies, paper goods like toilet paper and paper towels, non-perishable foods, and flashlights. 4 to 8 this evening at the Blue Lot at Kroger Field, or you can go there lunchtime from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Friday to help pitch in and help the folks who lost so much, who are going through hell and back right now. We'd love to rally around them, so if you can show your support somehow, some way, there's one way to do it. We're going to show our support by giving you a silly way to end the show, but I do need to give you a hard break to tell you about our friend Andy Ludicky at myperfectfranchise.net, where Andy, he can help you leave the corporate rat race, diversify, build your wealth, and maybe even give you a side hustle with franchising. He's a franchise consultant and a franchise owner that helps people find one that fit their skill sets, passions, and most importantly, the financial requirements to get this puppy up and rolling. His service is there 100% free, and he's here to help. If you got any question about business ownership, there's plenty of people who listen on the On3 network who've hooked up with Andy and now have businesses that are making millions of dollars a year. It's kind of crazy. You don't just have to own a fast food. There's plenty of franchises out there. He can help you find them. That's Andy Ludicky at myperfectfranchise.net. All right, Luckett. It's 100 days of the start of Kentucky football season. And what I was thinking is one of my favorite exercises is, or one of my favorite tweets is when people say, guys will just sit around and just name football players, right? They just start rattling off wide receivers. So we're 100 days out from college football season, Kentucky football season more specifically. How fast would it take us to name 100 Kentucky football players? Now, I'm going to make this difficult on us because, we could rattle off 100 Stoops players like that. So I want to make this a challenge where we have to name 100 football players prior to Mark Stoops' arrival at Kentucky. Do you think we can handle this? Just go back and forth, bouncing off names without any repeats.
Yeah, who's counting? Is Peak on the count?
This is why we got Peak producing for us. He's got a timer rolling. Peak, are you able to count, though, to make sure that – is this our counter or our timer? That's the stopwatch.
That's the stopwatch.
Okay. Do you think you can actually count for us, though?
So, yeah. So I'm going to count over here in the comment section.
Okay. All right. We're going to try our best to go fast and furiously, and we're just going to go back and forth, and I hope some of the names that we rattle off will scratch a nostalgic itch for some of our older viewers. Mr. Luckett, would you like the pleasure of starting this exercise?
Sure. Linnell DeWalt.
Oh, love it. Alexi Bagingi.
Justin Haydock.
Arliss Beach.
Matt Huff.
Matt Smith.
That's a good one. Melvin Johnson.
Ooh. Bobby Blizzard.
Anthony Wajda.
Ooh, that's a good one, too. Dennis Johnson.
Taylor Begley.
Oh, Begley with a little Egley. Pakalak. Glenn Pakalak.
John Logan.
Jared Lorenzen.
Derek Homer.
Pookie Jones.
Van Hiles.
Oh, there we go. Shout out to Van. Marty Moore.
Jeremy Jarman.
Oh, Corey Peters.
Anthony White.
A-Dub. That's a good one, too. Craig Geese.
Mike Hartline.
Tim Couch.
John Connor.
Derek Abney.
Raphael Little.
Ooh, that's a good one, too. Ray Sanders. Raymond
Chase
Sanders.
Hart.
Freddie Maggard.
Aaron Boone.
Derek Ramsey.
Matt McCutcheon.
Tommy Cook.
Jacob Tammy. Have we done Jacob Tammy yet?
No, we have not done Jacob Tammy yet. We did not do Jared's tight end, Derek Smith.
David Jones.
Oh, that's a great callback. The stiff or Sweet Pea Burns.
Tony Dixon.
Oh, man, that's a good one, too. Who had the stiff arm in that game?
I got it if you need help.
Marlon McCree is a name we haven't said yet. That wasn't it. Yeah. Who's your guy?
Ventrell Jenkins had the stiff
arm. There we go. Man, he was awesome. We didn't say Wesley Woodyard.
No, there you go. Micah Johnson.
Trevard Lindley.
Micah's brother, Christian Johnson.
Let's do Marcus McClinton.
Antonio Hall.
Believe. That's a good one. Let's go a little bit more. Jeff Pecoro. Shout out Jeff Pecoro.
Randy Holleran. You just got to do your Death Chart podcast, teammates.
Exactly. Let's get Andy Murray.
Yeah, Andy Murray. There you go.
Who was the doctor that had all the tackles? I got it now. I can say it after yours.
Carl Booker.
Jim Kovac. That was the doctor he's like a brain surgeon now, and he had 100 tackles a year.
Raymond Fontaine.
Jerry Bell, one of D-Cell's finest.
Sam Maxwell.
Last player to have 5 picks in a season, Sam Maxwell. Man, that was a good one. Jay Dortch.
Johnny Williams.
Oh, cornerback, right?
He was the edge that played at the same time as kind of Sam Maxwell.
Okay.
Number 51.
Dean Wells, R.I.P., one of South End's finest.
Jamil Paris, another defensive end that played on those Woodyard teams.
Let's go way back. Babe Perilli. Did not watch
Logan.
Babe Perilli. Yeah.
Mark Logan.
Oh, Mark Higgs.
Let's think here.
There's a couple of those in the 80s that were really good, those running backs.
Who was the quarterback Freddie always talked about that was like his 80s that everyone loved?
The governor. I think that's what they called him.
His name is on the tip of my tongue.
I know it's going to kill you. I got it. If you can't find it,
you go ahead.
Bill Ransdell.
Bill Ransdell. Yes.
Here's
dollar
another
bill. I thought that dollar bill. Did they call it that?
There we go.
Yeah.
The other fun quarterback, my favorite quarterback, they would bring it up on KSR. Randy Jenkins was the passing specialist, so they would bring him in whenever it was time to throw it. Hilarious concept, by the way.
Will Fiddler.
Oh gosh, people forget that he played quarterback in Kentucky's last win at Auburn. Kentucky's only beat Auburn once since '66. Speaking of '66, Ken Norton.
Morgan Newton.
Ooh. Randall Cobb.
Randall Cobb's a good one, so we'll go Chris Matthews.
That's another. Well, Rod King. I know he got a year of Stoops in, but he's a Joker player.
Did he play for Stoops? I thought his last year was the Joker.
Actually, you're right. I think it was with Joker. I don't think he made it to 13.
Yeah.
Can we
Matt
say
Smith?
Oh no, Luckett!
Did you say Matt Smith?
Yeah, you did the repeat.
Oh my bad. Oh,
Damn
Justin
it.
Jeffries in. Justin Jeffries.
There you go. The other X going to give it to you.
I was going to stick the same X guys in there.
Can I say Avery Williamson, even though he played for Stoops for a year?
Yeah, I think that counts.
Yeah. All right. We'll do Avery Williamson as another.
Danny Trevathan.
Oh, great. Excellent linebacker. LBU there for a while. Winston Guy. Lex Cat's finest.
That's exactly where I was going next, but I'll go with our nose tackle, Luke McDermott.
Oh, man. That's a name I haven't heard of in a long time. Who was the edge? Was it Okwu? Colin Ukwu?
Collins Ukwu. I think he was kind of Avery where he played 1 year with Stoops. But we could honestly do like a LaGrange pipeline. They had a while with Woodyard. So like Randall Burden.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Memorial Ford.
Yeah.
Braxton Kelly.
Oh, how have we not said Braxton Kelly yet? He's one of the last ones that we hadn't mentioned from the 07 team. Did we mention Tommy Cook?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, he was the one who had the Playboy girlfriend that got stolen from him, right?
Yeah, there's a story out there.
It was like, or not a Playboy, but like his wife was a model, and then maybe like an NFL quarterback stole him from him or something like that.
I think that's Jared's story. Did he say that on air?
That's like on the internet somewhere.
Okay.
So yeah, if you can do your research and go find it.
Sticking with that era, Sylvester Big Cat Miller.
Oh, the Big Cat, the OG Big Cat. And you know who was around that time? I don't know how to say his full name, but do you remember Fatu, the defensive lineman, the Samoan? I didn't meet Fatu until he got in the volleyball circuit. And
I know who you're talking about.
And he's like every bit of 5'9", 260, and can jump like 45-inch vertical and like smashes the ball. He's an incredible athlete. Shout out Fatu.
Wait, was that 81? Was that a player?
Yeah. And then DeQuinn Evans is 82. Jeff Snedeker. Don't know. I love that mustache. Great mustache back in the day. Go.
Jamani Dawson.
Yeah. We didn't mention the other 80s running back, Ivy Joe Hunter, was awesome.
Billy Jack Haskins.
Yep. And my favorite name on the Ring of Honor, Shipwreck Kelly.
Yeah, that's what we should do. Just if you can memorize that.
The Ring of Honor. I know a lot of them.
Oh, there's names. What was the one that went in the Hall of Fame not too long ago? Steve Meidinger?
Malinger, yeah.
Malinger,
yeah.
okay, yeah.
He had some stories to tell.
His press conference was an all-time one that if you haven't seen it.
It's incredible. I was in there for it and kind of didn't believe it. And they're like talking about paying guys and all that. I had the pleasure before he passed of actually meeting Bob Gain, Kentucky's only Outland Trophy winner.
Actually met this guy at the Texas game this year, Otis Grigsby.
Oh, here we go. I mentioned Pakalak earlier, but I didn't mention the Super Bowl champ, Ryan Tadalachka. Punter you.
Getting our Trinity guys, him, Wajda, McDermott, all out.
He was a Trinity guy?
Yeah.
Huh, didn't know that.
Good counsel, Tadalachka. He kicked like a 45-yard field goal. Like
CSAA football?
Yeah, CSAA at St. Rita, I'm pretty sure. Did we do Ricky Lumpkin?
No.
Ricky
Which
Lumpkin.
he's working at UK now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I see him every now and then.
Stevie Johnson. Stevie got loose.
Yeah, of course. That's one. Andre Woodson.
Yeah. And let's get another Louisville Gobbler in there. Keenan Burton. All right, let's get it under 10 minutes. We're at 94.
Jeremy Cottle.
Oh man, good one. Now I'm putting the pressure on myself, and I can't think of any of these old heads. Especially, I'm trying to go to the Ring of Honor. This is killing me. Harry Ulinsky. There we go.
Dwayne Robertson.
Dickie Line Sr.
Dave Ulinsky, I believe, was Harry's grandson, played for UK for a little bit.
Dave was the good one. Oh yeah, the grandson. Yeah, Dave.
Yeah.
I met Dave. Oh, we're at 99. We need 100. Oh no, we couldn't spit it out in time.
There you go, Pete. Pete got it. Lona
He
Sieber.
got Lona Sieber for us. Oh God, man, don't get me started on Lona Sieber. That kick he missed. I
feel like a lot of mine were just like when I was in college. So like I just
knew the linemen.
Names. And then when I was in high school,
hit that field goal versus LSU in overtime though.
He did hit that
right.
one, but the Tennessee one, I was ready to storm the field and beat his ass.
Was that his fault? I thought he got blocked.
It did, but it was a low kick. Yeah, it was low. But 100 Kentucky Wildcats in about 10 minutes. Not too shabby. The one I should have mentioned when I was a kid and we would sit up in like the upper deck, there was this lady who would scream and she thought that all of the players could hear them. And anytime the play clock was rolling down, she'd be like, time's running out. Her least favorite player was Marvin Love, and she would always go, Marvin! Just scream bloody murder anytime he dropped pass.
There's a few coming in my head right now, like Larry Warford. We didn't do.
Yeah.
Mike Williams was a safety on the good Lorenzen team. I always thought he was a good player when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we did Robertson, Cottle, Ronnie Riley was a linebacker on those teams.
Ronnie Robinson, Ronnie Rob, back in the 80s. And I did blank on way too many depth chart podcast guys. There's some 80s guys that I should have definitely had in there, but did not. So, my apologies. Yeah, we did throw Pookie Jones in there, which I learned over the weekend that my uncle Oscar coached Pookie Jones for the Louisville Fire back in the day. Pookie was on the team. Yeah. So he did the minor league baseball and then was like, you know what, I'll play a little football too. Funny full circle moment. I hope that scratched an itch for some of you. Yeah, Peak was
some of your D sales guys in there because you heard me rattling off some St. X guys.
I got one in there. We don't have one of them, Joe Fetterspiel. You know, like I was trying to think of the Ring of Honor guys, and I was getting ticked because I mentioned Norton. But there was, quarterback that got drafted, the quarterback that beat Ole Miss when they were number one. And actually, I probably got it wrong because Rick Norton, now that I say it, he was the receiver and the quarterback was something else. But nevertheless, I digress. We passed it a while. Ken Norton was the coach for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Peak was wondering the last player to do the kick return before Barry and Brown, and you mentioned it was David Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, Artus Penner, huge omission on our part. Toos was awesome.
I tried to get. I think we got a decent amount of players from that Jared Lorenzen bowl band team that went 7-5.
Yeah, in 02.
We had Aaron Boone, Tommy Cook,
Yep.
Chase Harp, a few others.
Caudell,
we got
Jeremy Caudell was on that team. I think
Big Cat Miller, right?
Yeah.
Dwayne Robertson. We got a few of those guys.
Yeah. So all in all, pretty fun. Hope you enjoyed that trip down memory lane. I bet if we did Stoops, guys, we could cut our time in half. Just like pew, 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 pew. But nevertheless, a fun way to celebrate 100 days till the start of Kentucky football season. Next week, we get to rev our recruiting engines because official visits start. The SEC spring meetings will be held over 3 days next week. So we'll have plenty more to discuss on next week's 11 personnel. Appreciate y'all joining this week. Stephen Peak, thanks for counting along with us. That was a lot of fun. He's Adam Luckett. I'm Nick Roush. Go Cats and go Kroger.